Welcome to the Scoop World Order Gold Jacket Edition. It is Monday. We have a Hall of Famer, a member of the Buckeye Scoop family in the house tonight. We're going to talk to Cris Carter tonight, folks. Going to get his thoughts on the 2024 Buckeyes, the Michigan cheating scandal, and just get some wisdom on what it's like to play wide receiver at the highest level, offensive football at the highest level. It's going to be a very, very exciting show. Very excited about this to have CC on here with us. So we're going to get to it real quick. As always, we appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate all of the incredible numbers we're putting up. It's record-breaking this month. Smash every record. We're closing in on 100 million impressions this year, which is insane for little old Buckeye Scoop. We're turning into a juggernaut right in front of your eyes. So we appreciate you guys. So as always, you guys enjoy this. You're really going to enjoy this guy. Gold jacket wearing Hall of Famer Cris Carter, the best receiver in Ohio State history. I don't care what anybody says because you have to start with the guys that have gold jackets, in my opinion. CC, how are you doing tonight?
Very good. How are you, man? Why you have to come in with the fastball? Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to say your resume, but I don't really have to say anything else other than that. I could talk about 8 Pro Bowls and on All Pro and everything else, but it's like gold jacket is gold jacket. There's only like 350 of those, so out of the millions who've played football. So, hey, I'm just being real. Like when people talk about the GOATs, like I start right at the top. I was like, if you got a gold jacket, then that's like auto, Jim Parker, Orlando Pace, Dick LeBeau, like that's like the auto selection, Paul Warfield, those types of guys. And then we can start after that. How you doing, my man? How's Boca Raton treating you?
Very good. Very good. It's been a hot summer. Glad camp is over with. Doing player development at Florida Atlantic with Tom Herman. So right here in my backyard, I've been a resident here for 35 years. So since Tom's been here, I've been working with the team. So ready for the season to start. Looking forward to seeing this year's edition of the Buckeyes team, which is a very, very talented football team. So very excited the dog days of summer are over with and we're getting ready to play some games.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So when you moved to Boca Raton, obviously 35 years, that's during your playing career. Was that a decision you made to really train in that Florida heat year round? Because I know that one of the things I talked about, why you're one of the guys that I like. I mean, obviously I'm an offensive lineman. I don't model my game after a receiver, but like the way that you trained, it was something, with the fast program, the high speed treadmills, the heat. South Florida is no joke. Like if there's a place you should train at, if you want to get ready for the elements, like there's nothing like South Florida heat. I grew up in Naples, and it is insanely hot. Was that a decision you made for your career early on, just to make it as hard as possible when you're doing your training routines?
Right. I think there were several levels to it. One was I wanted to be a little more isolated. Socially, I was a social butterfly, so I needed to be a little less social. And I was making some huge adjustments in my personal life. So being isolated really helped in the beginning stages of that. The benefits from a tax standpoint, no income tax in the state of Florida, that helped. And then there's so many athletes down here training, and then I had an agent also that had moved to Boca Raton. So I had a number of very, very quality reasons why I would move, and try to establish myself in the NFL, but from here in Florida.
Yeah, I think it's a great move, and you see a ton of guys do it. Let's get into this college football season. Obviously, the 2024 Buckeyes, it's hyperbole city at this point, where you've got the $20 million rosters, the headline on ESPN. A lot of pressure on the whole squad, Ryan Day all the way down. What are your thoughts on the roster, the projections? Obviously, Jeremiah Smith very well because he's from your neck of the woods down there. But what's the ceiling for this team? And again, with your eye for evaluating offensive talent, what do you project out of what Chip Kelly and Ryan Day are going to be able to do this year?
Well, I think it's a unique, blend offensively what they want to do with Chip Kelly, and him deciding to step down from being the head coach at UCLA, and with a guy that he knows, very familiar with, they're from the same hometown. But the ability for Chip Kelly to run the ball throughout his career has always been an elite level. No matter where he is, I don't care if they hurry up, I don't care what personnel. Typically, it is to run the football. They are not trying to hurry up and throw it. So I think with the overall mentality with Ohio State, what we've kind of lacked last couple years, short yardage situations, goal line situations, we couldn't demandingly run the ball on people, which we've always done. So I think that blend with a quarterback who runs the football will open it up, because if teams don't put 8 people in the box, which in turn creates man-to-man outside, you start getting mismatches, throughout the lineup. And I think that's the type of team Ohio State is this year, that they can force you to put so many people at the line of scrimmage and force Will Howard to throw the ball to the elite talent that they have on the outside that Hartline has collected. So that to me is going to be the recipe. If they're going to play at an elite level, they're going to have to be able to throw the ball when people take away their running game, and be able to do that with the Georgias, the Oregons, the Texases, all those teams like that. That will determine their fate long term.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's going to be. I think teams are going to want Will Howard to beat us throwing the ball, which is bizarre when you've got Jeremiah Smith and Emeka. But I think this running game is going to get off to a very fast start. What's your evaluation of what Brian Hartline has done over really since 18 when he took over as a wide receivers coach? He's had an array of guys who are coming for the throne, the CC throne, as the best wide receiver in school history. How do you evaluate him? He's put a lot of guys very high into the league. What's your take on Brian thus far through his young coaching career?
Well, for one, I've been knowing Brian for a long time, and we recruited him at Ohio State. I think he broke his leg in his junior year, so he didn't have a lot of tape. Was a really good hurdler in track, and I always look for certain things, attributes, either basketball and or hurdling in track, long jumping, triple jumping, high jumping, things like that where timing's involved, lead explosions involved. So he was one of those, and then also being a student of the game. He came through the era at Ohio State too, where they taught so much football, and people look at him and don't think that he's just going to be a technician, but he had elite athletic ability, and that's why you had the career that he had in the NFL. And then he was able to take all that, package it, learn the profession, and be able to get back home at a time that we were in dire need to try to bring our receiving room to an elite level on a regular basis. And he's done that like no one else. And, I have to credit him too, because he has pretty much kept me in contact with who's coming and who's going. And, sometimes we'll be visiting, sometimes they'll be in Buckeye Grove, looking at the Buckeye trees, and he'll call me and with one of the young men that potentially trying to get them to come to Ohio State. So he's kept me in the loop, in the legacy that we have, in that room. And it's, it's a very, very proud legacy, but he's done as good as any position coach could have done in college football the last 8 to 10 years, as far as running this room, producing kids, not only their stats, what they do in the NFL, but the overall attitude that they bring to football. They're not bad kids. They're not very, very selfish. You don't hear other stories about them, which typically in other places, especially with wide receivers, because we're crazy. And, we live on the edge and we create drama. But for them to be able to sit, wait, watch, develop, and then shine when they get their opportunity, they've had a cycle of those players. So that's very, very encouraging. And he's done a great job.
And again, that's a great point you make, because a lot of receivers, they're you gotta they gotta get theirs, and to get guys to actually wait their turn, especially in the portal era. How hard would that have been for you as a 5-star kid coming out, maybe having to sit for a year behind a guy that you probably think that you're better than? Talk to me about young Cris Carter. If it was Back to the Future and we put you in the DeLorean and we brought you to present day, and you're a 5-star kid from Middletown, and all of a sudden it's NIL, it's transfer portal. How would that have affected you? Because again, that is something that you want to talk about throwing hand grenades in the room. That is something that you've got to, it's a whole different thing that didn't exist 5 years ago. But now it's a daily occurrence to re-recruit your guys and to manage their egos and manage expectations. How would that have affected you as a young player?
Well, I mean, I started, I think, game number 4 my freshman year. The first day at practice, after you have the 5 days where freshmen are practicing by themselves, the first day was shocking when they split the 1s and the 2s up and they sent me down to the scout team. I was like, what's going on? And then they start putting on those other colored jerseys. I'm like, what? You start running plays and it's based off an index card? Oh, you run this? And I was like, man, what the heck is this? So I was very, very fortunate that not only did I have a couple of teammates from my high school on the team, but I had my high school coach, Bill Greene, who came to Ohio State with me. So I met with him that night and I was very upset. I was like, man, this is not what they told me. Like, what am I doing on the scout team? Like, and he was just like, relax. You just don't realize the plans they have for you. But we only have a 2 deep that's going on that end of the field to run the regular offense. I was like, well, how long is it going to take me to get in the 2 deep? He said, well, just bide your time. And then Earl and them, when we broke up the next day, they grabbed me. And I was like one of the very few like third teamers down with the regular 1s and 2s. So I only had 1 day on scout team, but I knew I didn't ever want to go back down there. And you practice against Pepper Johnson and all those crazy guys. I didn't want to be down there. I knew that. So just that 1 day on scout team, and then finally working my way up. I knew I was going to play a significant amount of time with my skill level, and I think week number 4 we opened to the Big Ten. I started that week. So I don't think the money. Eventually, I ended up leaving college because I had taken money. I don't think the money didn't affect me, and I was getting paid from an agent and various sources from the time we went to the Rose Bowl my freshman year until the time that I got declared ineligible. Mm-hmm. So I had NIL, so it wouldn't have mattered my attitude.
Yeah, I never like looked out on kids that again, I came from single parent. Like, I get it. Like, I mean, you're starving. It's hard. It's like, it sucks. Trust me. Like, there's nobody that I tell people all the time. I was like, I love NIL. I'm happy these kids, like, when coaches are making $15 million a year and these kids are penniless and their parents have to take out second mortgages to travel to the games and stuff. Like, I've never thought it was fair. I never cried about it because there was anything I could do about it. I wasn't bureaucratic enough, but I never minded that. So that's no sweat for me. Talk about, again, that's a great story about going to scout team. And that's something that hits a lot of these kids like a cold, like, bucket of water when they're on that field and all of a sudden they get handed an Akron. Like, there's kids that like today are getting handed an Akron jersey to go out and practice. And they're like, man, this isn't what I signed up for. Why don't I get a red jersey or a white jersey? I get an Akron Zips colored jersey now, which again, it's startling. But you talk a lot about your development as a freshman. What impact has, we were talking in pre-show about JJ Smith and the impact he's going to have this year. Has, the wide receiver position has had this evolution recently with 7-on-7 football, the rules in college football and in the National Football League. What impacts have happened over the last 10, 15 years that have changed the game? Because now these kids are ready-made, not just for college, but for the league. I mean, you get kids that walk in as rookies and they're really productive, and there's no more waiting game with the way that the throw game has evolved, along with the mindset of the coaches. You talked about that in pre-show. Talk a little bit about that.
I think that there's also just so much more information that even though there's a lot of bullshit, online, receivers doing flips, catching the ball. Like, I haven't seen nobody do that shit in the game. So when they start doing that in the game, I'll start practicing it. But in the meantime, that's a waste of time. But from an information standpoint, for me, I've always been a technician. So the techniques, there's some really good wide receiver coaches, on X. I mean, there's so much more information online as far as route running, people's overall workouts. They'll gather their information to add it to what you're already doing. The level of training, nutrition, I mean, all those things, rest, recovery, water. There's so many things that make the athlete such a better athlete. And if you play a position that requires technical work, which most of them do, you have that information at your fingertips. You can actually be as good as you want to be. You don't have an excuse for, hey, I'm in a small town. We only have part-time football coaches. That will only, but you can get online and you can get yourself better. There's so many drills. So many things just have changed over the last 10 years. So I think that access to anything, but access to information, access to what elite athletes do on a regular basis, I think that's one of the biggest growing points in the sport.
Talk a little bit about like 7-on-7. We talked about that in pre-show. How much would that have benefited you to be able to play competitive football? And again, Ohio still doesn't have spring football, which is crazy compared. I mean, you live in Florida, and in April you see all the kids out there in full pads practicing, having a spring game versus another high school. What would that have done for your development? Because again, you're already developed. If you're playing as a freshman in game 4, that's way ahead of the normal curve. But what would 7-on-7 have done for Cris Carter back when you were coming out of high school?
Well, I think it might have made me a better player initially in college, but I don't think it would have. I don't think my shelf life would have been as long, because I was really a great basketball player, also in high school. So a lot of summer stuff, I was away at summer camp. I only went to one football camp, and it was kind of reluctantly coming back from 5-star basketball camp. I went to Ohio State, I think, for like 2 days, and they'd seen me play, but they hadn't seen me work out. And I worked out at one of their elite camps for 2 days, and they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we get it. All right, all right, we was like that." And so then they were just trying to convince me, to make a commitment, So I think that, everyone's story is different, and I encourage players to play as many sports as possible, as long as it's beneficial. But you do realize that there is a downside to playing multiple sports. There's also a plus side, but the downside is if you have the same talent as someone else and you're playing basketball and football and they're only playing football, they're going to get better at football than you. Now, you might be a better all-around athlete, but at football, they will be better than you because they have spent too many hours compared to you splitting the time. It's like being a switch hitter in baseball. Like if your natural hitting is right-handed and you're trying to learn left-handed and you're only hitting at a 200 level, every time you take a batting practice left-handed, you are wasting a rep. And you're also putting negative energy into your brain as far as the lack of what you can't do, because if your brain can't see you be successful, then it's hard to duplicate that under the gun. Practice is so important. I was telling the guys today, it's so important to practice good because your brain will get used to it. Guys like, hey, coach, when they turn the lights on, oh yeah, guess what's happening? You're gonna act like a roach and you're gonna run. Ah! You have to practice if you want to be great, you have to practice at that level. If you want to be good, you have to practice at that level. So that's just always been just kind of, one of my mantras as far as going out there and proving it every single day. Update my resume every day.
I couldn't agree more. Like I had to go against Will Smith and Cam Hayward and Vernon Gols. Like they're all first rounders, like every day. So it's like when you walk off the field and you have a good practice versus those guys, it's nothing will build your confidence quicker. It's same as if you have a bad one, you better get in the gym and you better get your mind right because they're going to be back there tomorrow. So there's no hiding when you're at a place like Ohio State. Yeah, that is a profound thing. One thing, because I love to do a little bit of research. What was it like playing basketball at a 5-star camp against Michael Jordan? Because that was a great story where you talked about a 5-star camp in Pittsburgh. You got invited to it. You told Colin Cowherd's a big friend of Buckeye Scoop. We appreciate him very much. And I thought that was fascinating because, again, that's something where, your brother obviously was a great basketball player, played in the NBA. And then you're, kind of doing the 2-sport thing, which again, I couldn't agree more with when you say, you can do both, but you're going to miss out on skill training development. Like I quit basketball as a junior in high school because I was missing my weightlifting, I was missing plyos,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to be a D1 basketball player. I'm 6'5". Like I have no future. So I better go hit the weights after school instead of going to the gym after school. But talk a little bit about playing against Michael Jordan, and you talked about how you knew because he was mean, nasty, super athletic. But what was that like?
Right. Well, I had multiple brothers, but my oldest brother, Butch,
Yep.
he's the one that played in the NBA for 7 years.
Yeah.
But my brother John is 2 years older than me. He was in the same league as Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's 2 years older than me. So in that summer of his senior year, it was my brother John's. He was a rising senior also. I was a rising sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
But the seniors, Michael Jordan was first team All-American. Him, Patrick Ewing. The first team was amazing. There was 200 coaches courtside for the All-Star game. So I was able to watch him every single day, and you could see that he was just on another level. Like he was like a football player playing basketball because he was nasty. He talked, and his defense was just so intense. It was just like you were getting a snapshot of really what greatness was. So that was, one of the things that always marked, my high school was being able to see something like that firsthand and see how he worked at it. And he was like a waiter, so he was waiting tables. And to see the best players in the world waiting tables on other kids at camp and everything, it was very humbling, very, very unique kind of experience to be, in that, as a youth.
I love that. All right, we're gonna talk Michigan, man, because the Connor Stalions documentary is coming out tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be a puff piece. We've been way ahead of the curve on this thing. But what are your thoughts? Again, you played a long time. You're still very active in the game of football. The sign stealing, the level that they went to. How big of an advantage does it give a player, a team, a coordinator, a play caller when they know exactly what is going to come because of doing something unscrupulous? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because again, you've been around a lot of football, a lot of great offensive minds. What are your thoughts?
Right. Well, I think that everyone, from a natural standpoint, has the ability to steal signs. Like that is not, that can't be legislated out of sports. If I'm at a little league game and the catcher is giving the 2 and the dude is throwing the hook, listen, I'm telling my kids, man, the 2 is the hook. All right. Now, when we were at Ohio State, Gary Blackney was the defensive coordinator, and they used to always have their sky coverages always started in a word with an S. So they'd be trying to fool me, but all their cloud coverages started with the word C. So they just made them different words, but they didn't change at the beginning what they were. So I always knew what coverages that they were in. Another example is we have scripted practices. So we have plays that we're going to run against a certain defense. Do the coaches ever let the players look at the script to find out what defense they're going to go against so that they can get a jump? Or do the coaches want to get a natural reaction and throw a surprise defense at us? We know the answer to that one. They much prefer to us to get a natural reaction. Yeah. But in this era where the play calling is controlled from the sidelines by the coaches and everything is dictated on coverage, it is the perfect time to steal signals, because if you recognize what they're doing, they can't call the play before you can call a defense that is better suitable for what you think they're going to call. So I have seen too many videotapes where they were looking to the sideline and Harbaugh was trying to look away, but he wasn't looking away. He knew what the deal was. Connor Stallion, what do you think he's standing there for? Like, then they looked to him. He mouthed something. They switched to defense, and they in the backfield. Yeah. Now, that was one example. The other example was when they kept running that off tackle play and they ran it 4 or 5 times for about 200 yards against us.
Yeah. Oh God.
2 years ago, I was like, they know what defense we're in.
Yeah.
But overall, man, I mean, there have been legendary cheating scandals when I was covering NFL, working at ESPN, the Patriots, all the scandals. Every one of them, we weren't involved in none of them. Every one of them were innocent. Filming people, deflate gate. Yeah, we did it. Yeah, okay. Innocent every single time. Yeah. So we know what the real story is. Anyone involved in football, especially in this era, if you're going to tell them beforehand what the deal is, you're going to have a jump start on it, and it's going to be a huge advantage. And they had elite personnel also to go with that.
Yep.
And they were well coached. So all those things still have to come together because it still wasn't a cakewalk, to win the national championship. So, but I do believe that signs still involved. And Michigan would agree with me. You know the reason why? Because they fired him. Did they ever announce why they fired him?
Through Connor Science?
Yes. Just fired him, right?
Yeah. He was gone. So was the linebacker coach. I mean, it was. Have you ever seen a mass exodus, like a college team that won a national championship, and people can't get out of there fast enough? Like, I've never seen anything like that in sports at all.
Well, I haven't seen it on the national championship, but I have seen the NCAA. They do give you a little smoke warning, and I have seen some dudes like Pete Carroll get gone.
Gone.
Our guy Kelly got gone from Oregon too. Let's get gone.
Yep. Like, I see the torches and the pitchforks off in the distance. I'm gonna go fire up the jet and head to Philly.
Yeah.
They can't get me. They can't get me over there. Yeah, how bad do you hate Michigan? This is a thing. I always have an argument with people because I get a visceral reaction about how much I hate Michigan. And the thing that sucks worse than anything about them winning is they're like rodents. They're like vermin. And there's some Ohio State fans that like to love Michigan too. And they're our brothers and this is our rivalry and it's not a war, it's a rivalry. And I'm like, it's a war. Like, I mean, if you haven't played in it and if you've lost that game, I mean, your life is misery for a year. And that's not hyperbole, that's real. How bad do you hate Michigan? And again, you played against it. It was ferocious. Talk a little bit about that, like your mindset going into that game.
Oh man, it's one of a kind. It really is. And for me, growing up in Ohio, being really recruited by both schools for basketball and football, Bo Schembechler tried to recruit me through. He said that there was a kid in Michigan that wanted the #1 jersey, but he was holding it for a Carter kid from Ohio because they had Anthony Carter who had left a couple of years before that. Mm-hmm. And he was trying to sell me on that. And I was like, I don't even want to wear #1. I'm going to wear #2 in college. And I told him thanks, but no thanks. And then I heard they were going to move me to defensive back too. And I had told him that. I told him I got some scouts out there and I hear y'all going to move me to safety because I had 10 interceptions. I played 1 year as a defensive back. I had 10 interceptions in 10 games. So that was my start to dislike Michigan. And then we had a couple kids from Ohio my senior year decided they were going to go to Michigan. And one of them was a tight end from Cleveland. We played in the Big 33 game against him. And, oh, man, I caught him across the middle one time. I dumped him on his head. Oh, man, I gave a few choice words to him, told him what it was going to be like the next 4 years. Lo and behold, I didn't know I was only going to be there 3, but I did win 2 of those.
That's the even better part of the story.
To me, I just think I'm from the original part of the rivalry. The Woody Hayes, son, if you make a mistake, I'll take your scholarship away. The Earl Bruce, this is the biggest game of your life. We're not playing for yards, we're playing for inches. Jim Tressel, their influence. So to me, that has never changed. I'll just put a professional spin on it because I've been on TV and doing things like that. It's just not good. It's not a good look. But deep inside, I'm true to my Buckeye roots. I only have one football team, college, and that is the Buckeyes. Will always be the Buckeyes, and we have one rival. No matter how many different Power 5, Power 3, 30, and it will always be that team.
What was Earl Bruce like that week? Because Chess was great. Chess would bring Earl in to talk to us on Sunday night leading into the game, 6 days before the game, and he'd melt the walls, man. And I always liked that because he'd always talk about when they lost, in '69, when it was maybe the greatest Ohio State team of all time. And he talked about being an assistant coach. And if you haven't coached for Ohio State at Michigan, you haven't lived, because you have to literally go up the stairs, like 800 flights of stairs. And then after you lose, if you do lose, in Ann Arbor, you have to come down the stairs in your big red coat. And I got to live that in 2011. And you haven't lived until you've lost in Ann Arbor as a coach. And you get to walk through, 100,000 idiots like yelling at you and saying crazy stuff to you. And it was something. But what was Earl like? Because again, I love Earl Bruce, God rest his soul. But what was he like the week of the Michigan game?
I mean, very intense. Earl Bruce was right on the edge of that era in coaches where they grab you by your face mask and give you a couple quick shots to the head and spit all on you and everything. Earl was like right. That was like, okay, Earl, we can't do that any longer. But always teaching the fundamentals, always about physically and mentally tough, but just being so prepared at what we're going to do, and being prepared develops confidence. But in that game, to me, 75% of all coaches in big games, they're just too nervous, and they make the players nervous, because it's hard to play at your best if you can't relax. And it's hard for them to convey the message of what you want them to do without creating that negative energy. So it's very, very, but you see it around the country in big games, high school and college. Man, they get the kids so nervous. In the NFL, they don't do that, because you're playing against a Pro Bowler every week. You're playing against a great guy every week. And the coaches, they have a different approach to it than you see the approach in high school and in college. And I think I much prefer for someone to try to create a relaxed environment so I can perform, compared to I'm thinking about making plays or I'm thinking about making mistakes. Like, I don't want to be out there governed by, I don't want to make any mistake, because I'm going to make mistakes. And the more I think about it, the more mistakes you make.
I think that's one of the truest things ever, man. Because I think some of these coaches, man, they are tight as a drum going into that game or going into any big game. And it's like, dude, again, I was just like the assistant line coach, the GA, whatever. But I told these guys, I'm like, look, as hard as we practice and as hard as we go, it's time to go cut it the F loose, guys. There's no more hiding. They're more scared. They're scared to death of you guys. So when you guys come out of that tunnel, you're going to terrorize these guys. It's like, that was what I want these guys. I'm like, don't worry about making a mistake. You can fix any mistake. It doesn't matter. Just play hard, play with effort, technique on point, and let's go maul. That's what you tell these guys, because you can't have anxiety and be scared in front of the kids, because they can smell that, they can sense that, they can tell when you're uptight. Oh my God, how are we going to block this 3 technique, or are we going to be able to move the down guys in the run game? Like, dude, I played with some guys that were dogs, and it was just like, let's just go do it. Let's just cut it loose. And I think that's the right mentality. And I see coaches time and time again that are scared to death, and they play scared, and they turtle, and it ends up costing them when it really shouldn't.
And most of some of the players that play for them. So for me, they had a kid from Canton, Ohio, Garland Rivers. He played corner. I played against him 3 times. I look forward to it every time. I knew I was gonna whoop him. I knew he was a boundary corner. I knew he was limited. I knew he couldn't play no man to man. He had a little lisp when he talked and everything. And every time I got near him, I reminded him of that.
Oh my
I thought he was afraid to come to Ohio State because my roommate was the starting corner, William White. And so they had me double covered, and I scored a late touchdown in the fourth quarter to put us down, I think, by 2 or 3 points. And they get the kickoff, and Harbaugh throws a bomb to Colasar on William White on the next play. Mm-hmm. So then Garland had a lot to say to me, but it wasn't because he stopped me. It was because my roommate had given up a touchdown.
You had to pay the price for it. I love stuff like that though, man. 'Cause it's a talkative rivalry, man. Sometimes, the guys I went against really didn't talk too much, but it was we played like the 1-2 game, and it was we knew what was at stake. I mean, it was a punch and ticket to the natty, so it was different. Question that I've been wanting to ask you: who are the top 3 corners that you went against, and what made them special? Because I already know who number 1 is going to be. So basically, just in your entire career. Obviously, it's going to be in the league. It's not going to be at Ohio State, but top 3 corners you went against in the league.
Well, check this out. I have to correct you because I had an experience in October of 1984. Ran into a kid. We were number 1 in the country. No, we were number 1 the next year. But my freshman year, Rod Woodson at Purdue.
Ooh. Nice.
World-class high hurdler in high school. Yeah. Thighs the size of like Barry Sanders. Yeah. I mean, a thick corner, a ridiculous athlete. Yeah. Man, he was amazing. So I would say him, Darryl Greene, and Deion Sanders. But I played against 7 Hall of Famers: Aeneas Williams, Champ Bailey, Charles Woodson, Brian Dawkins, Leroy Butler, John Lynch. That's more than that. Yeah. Played against some dudes, man.
Rondé. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Rondé. I mean, there's a lot of it's different, man. I mean, you're looking at the schedule. I mean, you got some dudes, but yeah, I was wondering if you'd rank Deion 1 in it where you'd put Woods, because I think Rod Woodson's severely underrated. I think he's unbelievable. He was unbelievable when he played, and he was physical as the day is long. Maybe the most physical corner that's ever played. And just crazy. He had that terrible ACL when he played in '95, or the year they went to the Super Bowl against the Cowboys. That might have been '95 or '96 ish, but. Yeah, he was a different animal. I'm always curious because, again, I wasn't sure. I knew that obviously Deion's going to be right at the top just because he's prime. He is who he is. I mean, he's freakish athlete.
What people don't realize though, how smart Deion is.
Oh yeah,
and he knows offenses that there's 3 segments. The short routes, there's only a couple things you can do. The intermediate, there's only a couple things you can do. And once you get to 15 yards. He's not really worried about you running past him. Mm-hmm. He knows there's only a couple things you can do. So people's like, oh man, he's guessing. No, he's smart. He plays the percentages, and his technique is second to none. And if you do whoop him, he's got the best recovery. Him and Darryl Greene. So it's not, who's the toughest? Okay, who if I throw my best move against and I get open can potentially recover? And those two. Everything else that they do make them so special.
Are those the 2 fastest guys you went against, Greene and Deion? I mean, so those guys could.
It just happened to be but they are the 2 fastest. Yes.
See,
I'm a mall. I don't want to shadow box with the guy that can run a 4.3. That's not the fight I'm trying to fight.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get it, man. You know your matchups, and again, those are guys that are obviously they're all Hall of Famers. They're all first ballot, they're like all century guys, and they're not just Hall of Famers. They're like on the all time, all 22 teams. So it's like you pick probably the 2 best corners, Darryl Greene and Deion, that have ever lived. So it's pretty good. I got a bunch of questions. A bunch of people want to ask my man a few questions. Speedman 606. Thanks for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. The man, the myth, the legend. What a privilege it is to see you. Who were your influences going into the sport? And who are your favorite wide receivers since you left Columbus? And we always say OH, and I'll say the IO this time, but normally Nevada, my partner, will say the IO. But that's a great question. Who were your influences going into football, and who are some of your favorite receivers to watch since you've left Columbus?
I think influences were guys like Drew Pearson, Lynn Swan, because they played with such a grace. And I really appreciate wide receivers that play the game above the ground well. So when the ball's in the air, it can be anyone's ball. Who can make a difference on those plays? Now, we're very, very lazy in what we do. That's my dog. Hey.
You're good.
They're very,
we love dogs on this show, man. I'm telling you, that's one of the hallmarks to our show. It's our dogs.
my wife is on.
You're good, my man.
So when you can play the ball in the air, because there's no defense in the air, and there's only a handful of guys that do that well. And I always, based on my background in basketball, like I was a high flyer, like a dunker, a slasher. And then I used to transition those skills over to playing wide receiver. So those are the kind of guys that I looked at, and I developed a theory that catch all the balls I'm supposed to catch and a few that no one catches. And I always used to just repeat that to myself over and over. And that's what those guys did. And it really, I really always had a great deal of interest in playing at a high level, especially in the air.
And a couple of your favorite, who are a few of your favorite receivers since you left Columbus? Like since maybe like throughout your career, maybe you'd watch them when you're in the league studying, or maybe guys from Ohio State. Are there any guys that you like to watch them? You're like, yeah, this is a guy that you click on the TV. You're like, okay, I like watching this guy. Whatever his game is, his releases, what he's going to do.
I've been spoiled for a long time because it really got started with Terry Glenn and Joey Galloway.
Yep.
Like I'm talking about performing at elite level, having guys there that were really like, you're like, oh my God, like look at the speed these guys have, the route running, Joey Galloway's overall strength, and how they captured the national stage. We started throwing it around a little more then and highlighting their ability, and then transitioned to the NFL, playing at the elite level. I love watching those guys play. David Boston, seeing him evolve as he came through the program. That was definitely very, very interesting. To the guys that we have had, from Mike Thomas and that group, where, that group of guys took the receiving room to the next level, to where Hartline has it is right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. Jason Ward, thanks for the deuce. The GOAT is in the house. Love CC. Appreciate the love, my man. David and Karen Rosbeck, thanks for being an Ultra member. Thank you for the 5. The GOAT is in the house. A lot of GOAT talk. I mean, you got a lot of backup here on Buckeye Scoop, man. They love you on here. Michigan still sucks and is massively screwed. I know you agree, CC. What do you think? What do you think about that? I mean, I think that well, obviously we know they suck, but I think that the notice of allegations coming out yesterday, and it's amazing how petty. I love the NCAA. They're like the most petty human beings in the world because they release it, and like the 90-day response window is literally the Sunday of the Michigan game is when they have to do the response by. So it's like they knew what they were doing. They're doing it right before the Stallions thing drops tomorrow. Because again, they can swing the sword, and it's kind of fun. What are your thoughts on their timings? I thought that was great.
Well, you don't want to be in the crosshairs of the NCAA.
Oh.
And nothing good ever comes out of it. If I was them, I would be terrified. And, the way that everything went down, as far as Harbaugh leaving, that there's been enough smoke signals as far as admission of guilt. Even though, no, I've never lied. This is exactly what my dad taught me, or some story he came up with, whatever that was. I don't know what he was thinking about. Like, maybe he didn't think that we were listening. I don't know. That was the dumbest press conference ever. But
it was bad.
I mean, they've had enough smoke signals that there's no way that all these allegations could be false. And the repercussions in this modern day, man, it's very, very severe. What do they do with their current head coach? Because to me, it looked like, oh man, great. Like they're going to continue the tradition, but now he looks like the fall guy. He's sitting
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Because it could be very, very penal for him, and
Oh
I
yeah.
just don't think he have a parachute to jump to the NFL. So somebody is going to pay the price. It is not going to be Jim Harbaugh, and I don't think the NFL is going to do anything as far as suspending Harbaugh or penalizing him for the actions at Michigan.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they react. Dave Mathis, 6 for the 5. It's possible to get an autograph photo of Cris Carter for the Man Cave, I'm sure. Excited for the week. It's finally here. Cece, how excited are you for the start of real football? Preseason's over, camp's over. Obviously you're going to be traveling to East Lansing, getting ready to play the Spartans, open up. How excited are you when it's a new season, kind of, starting up right now?
It's always very exciting. Football and the landscape of football the last, 20 years has captivated our country. And the storylines and the unpredictability of it, and then the faces that we have playing the game, that being in college, the faces we have playing, the guys we have coaching the game in college, the great traditions that have been restored. Those things have always been a constant in college football and in pro football, that we have so many good quarterbacks, and there's really 8 to 10 teams every year have a chance to win the Super Bowl. So the energy, the product is at an all-time high. And we have very, very favorable players that are our superstars. People really like them, and that starts with Patrick Mahomes and some of the other storylines that we have in the NFL. So that's what we have surrounding the game of football. Flag football is more popular than ever. 7-on-7 is more popular than ever. High school football has seemed to stabilize through the pandemic, and coming out of that now on the other side, even though the numbers are a little down as far as participation, the quality of it has not suffered at all.
Do you worry, before I get to the next question, do you worry about the future of football with the numbers being down? Because I don't, because football gave me everything. I'm not scared of it. I'm not scared of my kids playing it. I think it's never been safer. The lack of two-a-days, the lack of blows to the head, targeting, like all the stuff they do. The game is, I think, mild. It's gotten safer basically every year, from when you played to when I played to today. It's not even like the same game. Like you go to like training camp now versus what you had to endure when you had training camp under Earl Bruce. Like it's a little different than what you did this year. I can't even 3-a-days probably with, they probably didn't give you guys have any water, and it's like, here's your salt tablet for the day, CC. Go out there and go get ready for practice. You'll be good. But again, like it's just a different world back then, and I think that the game's never been safer. And I think that's what's startling is like people are like, oh, well, it's dangerous. What did it used to be? Like 40 years ago, it was a whole different ball of wax. But what are your thoughts on the future of the game?
I think the future is safe as long as we keep adjusting. And I think over the last 20 years, we've made those adjustments. Those adjustments, I think, continue to be monitored. But I think the adjustments that we've already made as far as taking the head out of the game will probably be the biggest adjustment that we would ever have to make. And if we keep adjusting and we keep realizing that moms are very, very important, and because that's one thing we all have in common. Everybody out there's got a mom. And if we don't continue to market to them and do things that have their best interests of their kids at heart, there's more guardians on people's helmets than ever before. That's the cushion that goes around the helmet. When you watch tape of teams and practices on ESPN, you see these, and the whole protocol. We have several kids in concussion protocol this week getting ready for Michigan State. 2 of them are going to make it. One of them's not going to make it, but it's totally out of their hands, and it's totally out of the coach's hands. Yep. So the information from a medical standpoint is improved, even down to the grassroots as far as the certifications you have to be able to coach Little League, and the information, the drills that they run now are totally different than they were 20 years ago. So the game is safer now than ever before. So as long as we're cognizant of that and don't take that for granted, I think some other sports, when they were the most popular, that being baseball, they took the fans for granted. They took some of the other things for granted, and they end up losing that to us. And as long as we don't do that, I think we'll be in a good position.
You ready to take Goodell's job? Because that was pretty good. I'm just saying, like, who's ready to retire, man? I know you can vote for CC for commish. That was pretty good, man. Mark it to the bomb. There you go. When they steal that slogan from this podcast, I'm gonna say, hey, copyright, CC. All right. Geodit42, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. Good evening, Cris Carter. Do you still keep in touch with Jim Carsados? Your hands were the best ever in the NFL. Blessings. You still talk to Jim Carsados?
Thank you. I haven't talked to Big Jim lately. I've seen him in a couple games through the years and everything, and I still have season tickets. It's going to be hard to get to a game this year unless it's the playoffs and everything, but I look forward to seeing the Buckeyes. Always have looked forward to seeing the Buckeyes. I've had season tickets for a long, long time. So, no, but I don't see Jim. Don't see him around.
Appreciate you. Larry Daniels, thanks for being ultra. Thanks for the 5. Thanks for being here, CC. Is there a key to your longevity in the league? That is a great question. And something I want to add to that is there something that you wish you would have known when you started in the league? Because I read a great article about you doing Pilates, which again, I did Pilates when I was in the league, and I was like, why didn't I do this when I was in college? This is so stupid. I didn't do it. And it really is, I think, an excellent way to prolong your career, prevent injuries, strengthen things that you don't normally strengthen when you're squatting and bench pressing and doing curls and whatever. But talk a little bit about your longevity in the league and what was the key to that, and what's something that you wish you would have known more of when you were in the league?
I just wish I would have gotten my career off to a better start, like not struggling off the field. I think that's the only change, because once I realized I was always into sleep, I was always into hydration, and once I got the training, realizing the overspeed training was one of the keys to getting faster, and stride length, stride frequency, and studying those things, that I really, I didn't have any regrets. Like, so you can't play more than 16 years, especially a wide receiver. Like, you can't do that. So you're selfish to ask for more than that. So, to me, it was just getting to my prime quicker, but that's really hard to do. And because you're trying to learn so many things, but that's the only thing that I really would have changed, is not have that heartache, but that heartache kind of made my career, kind of made me who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, the rest is history. Denny Green, rest his soul, did a great job, picked you up, and you're a monster with the Vikings. Cris, Washington, thank you for the 5. Just wanted to say, huge fan. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come speak with us. See, we got a bunch of people on here that are excited to talk to you, CC. So this is a good one. So Coco Von Coconut, thanks for the 20. He said, yo, CC, do you remember singing the fight song in the locker room after beating Texas A&M in 1987 Cotton Bowl? The team was so happy, and Coach Bruce was so proud. What a moment. 28-12, OSU, unforgettable. Do you remember that, CC?
Well, all the bowl games I played in, I was the MVP of the game. I remember that one because that was my last game playing at Ohio State. Didn't think it would be. That was my last game playing at Ohio State. So, yes, I do remember. I do remember the spray painted Nike Airs that we wore in the game. Coach Bruce wearing. Yeah. I do remember.
This is actually Coco Von Coconut. He sent me this photo today with you and Corsados. So I think you can.
Oh, yeah, I know him. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
he's got a goofy little name on here, but he said, hey, if you could throw this on the screen, that'd be hilarious. So I'll bring you back on now. But yeah, it's funny. Like, you've got a lot of fanfare around here. People that have met you, they knew you, they were around you in school. So small world, man. I'm telling you. District Fire, thank you for the 10. Great to see CC, so many great athletes from Middletown High. CC, are you the best athlete in the history of Middletown High?
I don't know. I think that you have to get somebody else to
evaluate that.
Yeah, to me, it would probably be Todd Bell. who played safety for the Buckeyes. He happened to have a contract holdout for the '85 Bears, but he's an all-pro safety. He was one of my heroes growing up. His brother Sean came to Ohio State with me and played 4 years at Ohio State, 5 years as a defensive back. He long jump. He broke Jesse Owens' long jump record, high school 25.5.
Jeez.
So
that had to be cool.
So to me, if I had a vote, it's either him or Jerry Lucas. Jerry Lucas, 3-time All-American high school, 3-time All-American in college. Yeah. Only reason why he was 3-time All-American in college because you could only play 3 years.
Yeah. And he's on the NBA like all 50 team, all 75 team, like right next to Michael Jordan, and yeah, so that's pretty tough, man. I mean, because he's got to be, Mount Rushmore for sure. You're probably right next to him. Oh, this is a good one. I don't know how spicy you're going to get, but Jason Warlick to the 5 says, everyone back me on this. What does Cris Carter think of Desmond Howard, who is interesting? What are your thoughts on Desmond?
I know Desmond. I know him well. I got him in my Rolodex. He's one of 3 Michigan dudes I got in my 4, really. Well, there's 3 players and then 2, Rich Eisen and Adam Schefter. Yep. I mess with them on a constant basis, so they're good people. Desmond is a good brother, man. Desmond's a good dude. He's smart. I don't like the fact he's trying to make suggestions. Ohio State's going to need a new coach because, man, we're going to smack them boys this year. And yeah, no, we are going to smack them. But even if we were to lose to Michigan, I wouldn't fire Ryan Day. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think we're going to get better than Ryan Day. From a recruiting, quarterback standpoint, productivity. Now, you can't lose to Michigan that many years in a row, but be careful, man. Don't try to act like you know more than you understand.
That's a great thought.
But we can be a little outrageous.
Oh yeah,
we eat.
Yeah, I mean, we got number 1 recruiting class. We've got a really good coaching staff. We've got a loaded roster. We were really good in the transfer portal. Like, yeah, I like the trajectory of the program, so I'm good with it because the Bucks being good is good for Buckeye Scoop. When it was bad, man, and you gotta be on this show, man. You're getting pelted with tomatoes. It's not as fun.
You remember all those years? Tressel, get rid of Tressel. Then Tressel finally wins.
That's the circle of life when you're the head football coach at Ohio State. Is they're excited when you show up, and man, they're ready to kill you after like 2 games, three games. I mean, Tress went 7-5 his first year. And then everyone wanted him fired, and then he won the national title and beat the Hurricanes the next year. So it's like, I mean, Ryan hasn't had anything near like that, and Urban, beat Michigan 7 times, and people wanted him gone too. Get rid of that Meyer guy. He's got the 3rd highest winning percentage in the history of college football. And they're just like, get rid of Urban Meyer. And it's funny. I texted both those guys to get intel on you. I asked them, I'll actually pull it up right now. I'm not going to put it up, but, I asked Coach Meyer and I asked Coach Tress. I said, I'm interviewing Cris Carter Monday. He said he talked when we did our pre-call a few days ago. I said, talked about you coaching the A's. He said 2 things I remember about CC: animal competitor, treated practice like games, extremely intelligent, complete understanding of defenses and coverages. Love that dude. So there's Coach Meyer. So Coach Meyer he is team CC, which is good. And then with Tress, he said, I asked him the exact same question. He said, he was an amazing player in practice. Every day did something that was extraordinary and raised the level of confidence for the entire team. CC was a joy to coach. Then he put in parentheses, most of the time, with the laughing emoji. And then because he wanted to be so good. So those are your boys, man. I mean, you were around those guys when you're at Ohio State, and they loved you, man, because they knew you're a competitor. And I'm sure that, your practice can get spicy at Ohio State, man. People, it gets intense out there, man. And it's like, it's not for the faint of heart. And I'm sure there were moments when, the thermometer got a little hot when you're out there, and, you want to beat your guy to death that's going against you. So, but that's what those guys had to say. It was actually great.
Yeah. Well, Tressel and I, we really, we went back, 2 years in high school because Don Capers was the #1 recruiter. And he was recruiting me, and he ends up going to, I think, Tennessee. And then Capers comes in, so all of a sudden my family's got to meet with Tressel. Tressel comes in to take over the recruiting. So now this whole Cris Carter was on Tressel's lap to land me. And then once I got to school, he was the guy that was supposed to take care of me. So when Coach Bruce was asking the staff meeting, "Hey, what's going on with Cris?" He'd be like, "Hey, Jim, get over there and check it out." Or, "Hey, when's the last time you had breakfast with Cris? Go take him to Bob Evans." That's the type of thing that they would do. You didn't have a cell phone, and Coach Tress was the one responsible for it. So that's the reason why he also is like, but Coach Tress didn't know anything. Like, he really didn't know anything. It was like, "I didn't see this. Cris, how did this happen?" Like, "Coach Tress, you weren't supposed to see it."
Oh my God. No camera phones.
He was totally innocent in the whole thing, but man, he was great. The way he taught me football, and he pretty much coached the quarterbacks and wide receivers my first 2 years, and then Urban was there my junior year, his first year working in coaching. So great experience, man, with some great coaches.
That's amazing. Quintucky, thanks for the 20. Is it me or is Jim Harbaugh slowly morphing into a Woody Hayes look-like? I don't think so. My first Ohio State game was watching you against Michigan State. Thanks for the memories. I don't know what year. Was your year? When did you play Michigan State in the shoe? Do you remember? Mid-'80s?
Played them in the shoe in '85.
Got it. There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. First game, I was 1 year old, so I wasn't quite there yet. Gio did, again, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. CC, I think you and Mike Lanise was one of the best wide receiver duos to come through Ohio State. Do you stay in touch with him as well? Thanks again.
Through the years, I have stayed in contact with Mike Lanise. He made one of the best catches I ever seen in the Michigan game on a curl route behind him. Unbelievable catch. Unbelievable. Mike Lanise, one of the great human beings. When you come to Ohio State, it enriches your life because you're able to meet people, like him. He goes on to be a Rhodes Scholar, and he really took the academics, to another level, and he also was a hell of a competitor on the field. So yeah, we did. That was a great combination for me to learn from him my freshman year.
Love that. Tom Gombar, thanks for the deuce. Thanks for all the great memories. Cris, another goat emoji. We're wearing out the goat emoji tonight. Again, we have a lot of the people that are like us that are older than 20 years old know that you're the GOAT receiver. So that's where we're at this point. Robert Rogers, the second, thanks for the 5. Sup guys. It's not normal to have 2 greats on one screen. Well, I only see one. You must be counting Cris and his bust. It's the first time I've ever had someone with the Hall of Fame bust behind him. So I guess that's probably who's counting for the 2. Buckeyes for life. You got the Walter Payton Man of the Year and you've got the bust. So I was joking.
Yeah, like,
that's how he holds his cell phone up for his thing for his iPad. He's got the Walter Payton and he's got the Hall of Fame bust to clamp it, and he doesn't need a magic keyboard. Guys, people don't get it. We're about to be legendary this year. So, well, Cris, I don't know if I have any other questions for you. I think we're all through these. One thing that I did want to say as we wrap the show is, the advent of the one-handed catch is something that has grown dramatically, along with the toe tap, which are 2 things that I think you're like basically invented and patented. You weren't the first guy to make a one-handed catch, but I mean, catching the nose of the ball with a Jugs machine, I mean, the thing's going. I mean, if you've never caught a ball off a Jugs machine, like that thing is on your face fast, and it's like if you're not used to it, it is like Stuart Scott, God rest his soul, got hit right in the face with it, and his eye was screwed up because, again, it's no joke when you're on that Jugs machine. A lot of guys like to wear their helmets with it just in case bug flies in their eye and all of a sudden they get smashed. But what made you so passionate about the Jugs machine, and what made you work on catching the nose of the ball, the one-handed stuff? Because you talked about catch every ball that you're supposed to catch, then a couple that no one can catch. Like what inspired that?
Well, I didn't. When I was a basketball player, I could go out and do 90% of the stuff that I need to do in a workout and not need anybody. I knew the drills and stuff to do offensively, defensively, dribbling, jumping drills, shooting drills, all those things. But in football, typically you need someone. And I've always had a very good eye to catch the football and track the football. But once I was introduced to the Jugs machine is the best training tool. It's in my Hall of Fame. It's in my football life. It's the best training tool to teach someone to catch the football, because 99% of the time you get a perfect spiral. You don't have to chase balls and run around and everything. Like whatever you're trying to accomplish, which is catching the football, you're able to do that, because that part of it, that spiral at the point of reception, you can duplicate it over and over and over and over. And every time you catch the ball, your brain is taking a picture. So for me, I always put the Jugs machine all around me so that my brain would never be able to see a ball that if it came over my shoulder, that I got thousands of times me catching it. Thousands, not hundreds, not dozens, thousands. So every ball that can happen, I've seen it before. So my initial reaction is not my initial reaction. It's my thousandth reaction. So I react in a more natural way. I know the width of the field. I know the length of the numbers, the hash marks, how far they are apart, 9 yards, how many strides I have from the time I hit the numbers to the sideline, typically about 4, and a stutter, drag, swag. The back of the end zone, I'm never traveling past 7 yards in the no-flight zone to give the ball trajectory so that I can get my body on the ball and my feet down the back of the end zone. All those things I've worked out in my mind, because the football field is a canvas. And before I decide to go on there, I need to know the rules and how everything operates. So to me, I'm an angles and a numbers guy. So I was always studying the best way to be able to do something, the most efficient way to be able to do it. And where on the field are the weaknesses of the defenses, and what's the best spot to get there. It's like a basketball court. Okay, I'm going to get to these 5 spots, these 7 spots, Kobe Bryant. And when I get there, I'm going to shoot this shot that I've shot thousands and thousands of times. That's kind of been my philosophy that I built, throughout my pro career. I hope it didn't lose people.
No, I mean, I think it's fascinating, because I don't think people, when you're just watching a football game, and again, I study football, but I played offensive line, so I don't know the minutia that you do, but I think it's fascinating to see, and when did you start to figure that out? Was it in high school, college, where you're just like, this is, to be more efficient, this is how many strides it takes to run a post corner or an out or whatever, slant? I mean, that's the stuff that I think is really something that people that are on the show, they love hearing this kind of stuff, because, and then my second question to that is, why was the post corner your favorite route?
Well, the post corner is my favorite route because it's the most feared route for a defender in the slot.
Got it.
Because typically you're going to give him a double move and he can't defend you going both ways, and he can be made to look very bad in that instance. As far as the field and the studying, I've always been, when I came to Ohio State, they started teaching us fronts and coverages. Mm-hmm. And when I played X receiver, I would be able to tell the defense if the defensive end was in a 7 technique, a 9 technique, if he was rushing, if he was dropping. I immediately could tell the coverage. I didn't even have to look in the secondary. Because if he's coming, they have to be in some type of cloud or some type of man-to-man. And if he's coming, that safety is either going to be in the gut or helping to the weak side, especially in college, that boundary, because that dude is not the best cover guy. Mm-hmm. And I know they're going to try to get some help over there. So I would be able to tell them the coverages before the guy'd like, I didn't even do anything. And you don't know. I read the front and I under. You can only play so many coverages out of an under, bro. He was like, damn, okay. So I've always been into it, man. I've always been into the fronts, the coverages. I remember one time playing against Zach Thomas with the Dolphins, and we had Dante Culpeppers the first year, mm-hmm. and me and Moss carved him up, man. We carved him up. Moss and I had 300 yards receiving between the two of us. And then after the game, the guy was asking Zach, what do you think about the young Dante Culpepper from Florida, Central Florida, had 400 yards? And he's like, Cris Carter was telling the coverages every time. He didn't know it. He was telling them the coverages every time. So for me, that's one of the things that separated me away from other people, was just being a student of the game and understanding what the plays are trying to accomplish. And I loved it. Loved watching film. I loved studying it. I felt like that was where I had an advantage.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. Like, that's something that every young player should listen to, that, about how to really figure out stuff. Again, because you can always find tells. If you watch enough film, you're going to find tells in the defense. You can look at the defensive end stance or where his foot is and say, okay, he's dropping. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's got no weight on his hand, or he's in a 2-point stance. So that means he's getting back. He's dropping. They're running a fire zone, whatever. So that I used to love solving that kind of puzzle, because it's like, you feel like giddy when you figure that stuff out. Like, oh God, that's the tell. That's the easiest tell in the world. And they don't change it game over game. You're like, oh my God, this is going to be like stealing. I can't wait to get to the game. So we got a couple more questions. The Rod Farber, thanks for the deuce. What was your, hey, rookie, welcome to the NFL moment? That was a great question.
Well, to me, because I was in the supplemental draft, I missed all the training camp my rookie year. And the first day I showed up to training camp, it was like we were getting dressed. I mean, we were out of training camp. I showed up in the locker room. We had meetings, then we were going to the field. And all the guys jumped in their cars and drove over to the practice facility. I'm like, what is this? What is this? And not only did we have Jerome Brown, Reggie White, Seth Joyner, Clyde Simmons, Andre Waters, Randall Cunningham, Keith Byers, Mike Quick. Buddy Ryan was the coach. But when we got out of practice, a couple dudes were smoking cigarettes. I was like, oh shit.
Light them if you got them, I guess.
Yeah.
Who needs a Gatorade?
They were cigarettes.
Yeah.
Marlboros.
You're just like, I just get done practicing and running wind sprints, and let me light up a cigarette. And then they just have them in their car, or they put them in their pads and just pull them out.
They were smoking with the coaches, man. Hey man, let me get a cigarette, bro.
Dude, different times, man. Hey, whatever takes the edge off after a practice, man. Whatever it takes for them old timers, especially them coaches. Them coaches working. I'm sure working for Buddy was not exactly a picnic every day. You had to go to those coaches meetings. This guy's probably pounded a couple of heaters and kept it moving.
Yes, absolutely.
Nicholas Practice, thanks for the 5. Met Cris as a kid playing flag at SRCS in Boca. Nicest guy, and made me a huge Buckeye fan. Goat. Another goat. So there you go, CC, making the impact.
Oh, man. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
Spanish River Christian in Boca. My kids went to school there.
That's awesome. Well, that's great, my man. Well, we've had an amazing show. Is there anything you'd like to add? Sam, this has been absolutely fantastic. Again, you're a day one member of the Scoop family, and it's been awesome. And I appreciate your compliments. When you wrote us a little note the other day, said you guys have been killing it on Buckeye Scoop, I was like, well, that means a lot coming from this guy. So we really appreciate that, my man. We appreciate
I pretty much, I listen every day, and it's nice that, just through the years, as recruiting has become more popular, you want to stay up and follow your team, and to be able to get credible information, the inside information, not only, for someone that's been in the reporting business, not only what you guys report, but the sensitivity to what you don't say. To me, it speaks more volumes, because that's hard to do, and you're trying to protect people. You're not trying to be malicious and do things like that. And at the end of the day, man, it's about our team and trying to get our fan base more information so that we can follow our team smartly. And that's what you have allowed me to do here in Florida, be able to connect with my team, get information on the ground every single day. I got an alert, you pop it, okay, breaking news, okay, let's get it, all right. I get finished up dinner, go outside, put the phone, prop it up, get my headphones. Let's get it.
Oh man, I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, you're right. That's the thing, man. We get a lot of news, and it ain't all good news. And I'm not trying to break an injury, a suspension, like anything bad, anything that can hurt these kids, man. Because again, you've been there. Like, I mean, when the reporters that you think you're cool with all of a sudden stab you in the back, and they're the first to break a bad story about you, like that's. Like, we don't like to do that. I'll let everybody else they can break those stuff. It's good stuff. We're there, man. Because again, we like propping these kids up, and we got a lot of parents on here. We got a couple gold jackets that are on the site. So it's a very, very, very cool group. So, but man, I just appreciate you so much. I'd love to do it again at some point. Obviously, I know you got the season going on, but again,
let's do it during the season.
Let's do it,
before
man.
The Michigan.
Oh, it's on Monday, Michigan week. Let's go, CC. Hopefully we'll be undefeated running the table, and it'll be fiery. It'll be good. So, but man, I appreciate you. Good luck versus Michigan State, my man. And again, the GOAT has spoken. Gave us a wonderful hour on BuckeyeScoop.com. Thank you.
Right.
Any final words, my friend?
With this, I know you don't like it, but I'll give Marvin Harrison Jr. credit as being a better football player in college. But because the quarterback situation, the coaching situation is such an elite level. Like, he was a better football player when he left Ohio State than I did. All right? But I did beat Michigan 2 times.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, I'm not marking Marvin Harrison, a fantastic player, but beating Michigan counts to me. Again, I know that the Blitnikoff is great and all, but you were in the 2-back, Earl Bruce run the ball offense, so it's like a little tougher than throwing it 70 times a game. And we never beat Michigan. And again, it's not all his fault, and I know Michigan was cheating, but again, that matters to me. And then he's got another like 16 years to go and 130 touchdowns, and
that both of us have created a book. My cement's dry. I'm not going to play any better. I'm not going to play any worse. But don't stop reading the book. Okay? The book doesn't stop in college. For certain athletes, it does. But for others, it's just the beginning of what they could potentially do. And I think he has that same trajectory.
Yep. You know it when you see it, man. And again, a lot of people have really high hopes for him. That's why he went so high in the draft. And he's got a good quarterback, so hopefully he can have a prolific career just like you did. Because again, we root for all these guys to kill it. And everyone wants, the next crew to be better than the last crew. And that's the best part about Ohio State is like when Taylor Decker and some of these guys are way better than I was. The kid that I coached and tried to teach him everything I knew and everything I wish I knew. Like it makes you feel good when you know these kids and they become more prolific and like it just you want everything to just keep making Ohio State look better and better and better.
Yep.
Cool.
Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you, brother. We're gonna wrap this show. Thank you so much for being a part of the Scoop family, and thank you guys for being a part of everything that we do. Again, this is an absolute fantastic show. Again, CC was absolutely amazing tonight. He'll be back. He's a proud member of the Scoop family. If you guys haven't joined BuckeyeScoop.com, we got some gold jacket members that are on there that love the #1 Ohio State site. And again, I think you guys should give us a shot. It's been an incredible month of growth. We still have 5 days left. It's insane. We've broken every record this month. It's all thanks to you guys. Thanks to the Scoop family, all you guys do. Special surprise, Justin Spiro is going to join us tomorrow along with Nevadabuck. We're going to break down the Connor Stallions documentary that'll be absolutely hilarious to watch. We're going to break all that down. It'll be absolutely fantastic. So all you Michigan fans, you guys can tune in because you're going to get your whoopings tomorrow from myself, Nevadabuck, and Justin. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Just a great guy. Love him. We've been talking on the phone a lot recently, and he's going to bring the heat along with Nevada tomorrow. The Connor Stallions document drops at 3 a.m. Tomorrow. So in what? Let's see, 7 hours, about 7 hours or so, a little bit less. And you'll be able to check it out and give your opinion on it. I think it'll be a fluff piece, but it is what it is. But as always, thank you guys for all you guys do. Again, if you guys enjoy this, leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. And if you guys want to do something spectacular for us, follow us on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review, leave us a review. Again, it's every little bit helps. That takes 30 seconds to do. Our podcasts are just blowing up, #1 in every category. New sponsorships coming. Life is really good for Buckeye Scoop and the Scoop family, and we appreciate you guys. We don't take you guys for granted. And this is the kind of stuff we're going to do for you guys. So again, thank you for all the super chats as well. We set up a bunch more pay it forward people today. It has been an incredible program. So we thank you guys as always. With that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Nevadabuck and Justin Spiro. Buckle your seatbelts because we're going to be bringing the flamethrower out on this Connor Soundings documentary. And we cannot wait to see you guys at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Go Bucks.